If you think Tennessee's better without Jemai Mashack on the floor, the coaches would say that's a stupid statement or assumption. In fact, his 2 buckets against Texas A&M helped secure a statement win for the Vols and maybe even further secure their seeding when it comes to the SEC tournament. But how his 2 plays are highlighting that this team is hitting its stride at just the right time. I'm Paige Dower. This is the Field Pass on Full Disclosure. Chaz Lanier was lights out in the first half en route to a 22-point performance in the first 20 as Zakai Ziegler called game with that baseline triple at the end of it against Texas A&M. But it was the 2 tip-ins by Jemai Mashack, his only field goals of the game, that carried the most weight and perfectly showcased how much effort this team is willing to play with. So much so that assistant coach Rod Clark says they forget about what analytics tell them, and they know that Jemai Mashack is the right guy to have out on the court in those moments.
I see some of the stuff on social media or guys, our best lineups are this, and when Jemai Mashack does this offensively and all this other stuff. And I get it, like analytics can say a lot of things, but when you're in the heat of the battle and you're in these games, to say that, we're better when Jemai Mashack's not on the floor is kind of, I hate to use this word, but stupid. It just kind of is. Like, we finished the game with 4 guards, he was on the floor, and we were playing a massive, huge team, and he's at the 4, and we're just fine defensively. And he's on the floor, obviously, to win a game. So, I don't, not to insult anybody that has their opinions, because there's nothing wrong with that. But, yeah, that's not accurate.
And there's no question that type of effort will be something that this team needs to call back up the rest of the way for the SEC regular season, but even when they turn their attention to tournament play, but especially against teams that are considered down and out. They've got nothing left to play for, especially like teams like LSU. But you'd be wrong in that assumption, especially when you consider how they've looked their last handful of games, most recently against number 2 Florida. Of course, they went on to lose that game 79-65, but the game was closer than that a few times. So being able to be the aggressor and play more physical than LSU will certainly be necessary this week.
They have every reason in the world to give up right now, and they still haven't. So it's not any situation we can walk into and feel like that we're just going to walk out there, show up, and we're going to win the game. So we don't have that approach. We respect those guys. We expect them to give us a really good fight. We expect us to give them a really good fight.
It's important to make the right decisions, like when to go for it on 4th down, or when to kick the field goal or go for the touchdown. It's also important to make the right insurance decisions, too. That's why my office, Trey McAdams State Farm, is here to help you select the right protection at the right price. Our office will make sure you understand your State Farm coverages, so you'll know what to expect when the unexpected happens. With Trey McAdams State Farm, it's easy to make the right call. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Proud sponsor of the Tennessee Vols.
Tuesday's also a great test for Tennessee and their ability to play a team that's really hot and maybe beat the team that doesn't have as much momentum. Of course, they have 2 great wins back-to-back, Vanderbilt and Texas A&M, but there was a bye week in the middle of that. LSU kind of feels like they're on fire right now, even if the record won't necessarily say that in the win and loss column. But the Tigers are playing with laser focus right now. They have a ton of grit and physicality about them. So the test for Tennessee is how they will be able to handle being the team that might be viewed as the more cold team as they get ready to take on the more hot team, especially when you look to tournament play. The one that's coming up most recently will be the SEC tournament, where Tennessee right now has secured the double bye. So when they get ready to play that quarterfinal match, they're playing a team that's hot, having to win 2 straight to reach the quarterfinals. How will they be able to kind of balance out the imbalance on the team who has the most momentum? This game on Tuesday will help give us a sneak peek of just that. But really, there shouldn't be much question on whether Rick Barnes' Volunteers will be able to match the intensity, especially defensively. And even when we consider the last couple of games with how much their defense really has fed their offense, what we've really noticed and how Tennessee is able to find its stride, like we said at the beginning, is they've only been playing together for about 5 months. You look to last year and just how effortless, for the most part, that the team looked. Well, that's a lot of years of battling together to get to that point. I mean, Dalton Connect was one of the only true transfers that had a ton of playing time a year ago. This year's team, 3 of them really are true transfers that see a lot of playing time out on the court. So it takes a while for stride and chemistry to happen. It seems they have it now, especially after Texas A&M, which Rod Clark considers a grown man type of win.
Against Texas A&M, and it was good to see, man. I thought our guys, they showed how tough they are. It was like one of those vintage tough guy wins that we've had.
Now, Tuesday will be the test for Tennessee if they're able to sustain and maintain and continue that type of intensity and aggressiveness, especially when you go up against a guy like Robert Miller III, who Tennessee briefly recruited. But the freshman is coming off one of his best games of the season, where in just 25 minutes of action, he had a double-double, 19 points, 10 rebounds. But just even though it's the only second time this season he's been in double-digit scoring, Rod Clark says when you've got one of the best defensive teams in the country honing in on you, you best believe that that's a guy who can cause damage.
Robert's a really good player. He's about 6'9", 6'10", really good hands. He's long. He's athletic, super talented kid. He comes from a really good family. Robert's a really good player. He's somebody we're definitely focused on. Obviously, he had a really good outing last game, so it's going to be a lot of attention put on him. And when you're a freshman in this league and you have attention getting put on you from one of the best defenses in the country, that's a testament to the work he's put in and how good he's been.
The Lady Vols moved up 4 spots in the latest AP poll after escaping Gainesville with a win, but it's a ranked matchup later this week against Kentucky and a must-win type of scenario. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that conversation tomorrow at 2:30 here on Full Disclosure Productions. I'll talk to you guys then.